Let's take
Hold on. When you start that video back, you need to let them know what's a good way to, you know, how we created this bond for support. So, you know, people who are kind of like introverts and really not people, it'd be really good to get a couple that you have for the support. Because like Brittany said, you know, you're experiencing holidays without your family, and sometimes it's the first time that you're away from home. So we may need to say that and talk about our Friendsgiving and stuff like that. That's if you want to add that, because I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. They're coming up here and they're feeling alone. But actually, we have our own family. So in the event that we ever part from each other, we will still, hey, girl, what you doing? Let's meet up here. You create that bond. So they need to know that.
Yeah.
All right, take a picture.
How much did you save before moving to Dubai? So for me, I just made sure that I had at least one paycheck saved up that I could reach into. So that was about $3,000. And when I moved, I had to make that $3,000 stretch for 2 months because you don't get paid your first month of teaching. You have to wait until that next month. So that was kind of hard, but that's how much
I think I came here with like $5,000 that I had saved from the States. And that's only because I just kept saving my taxes. Like, you know, we'll take little trips. But I got paid my first month. I'm just like in shock, like, what?
Right.
No. But yeah, that's literally all I was able to save working 4 or 5 years in the States.
I also saved about 5,000 too, Jackie. I had heard horror stories, because this wasn't the first country that I applied to. I had heard horror stories of you need to make sure that you have at least 3 months of money saved up just in case you don't get paid for the first 3 months. So it was a challenge. It was very difficult for me to save that money, but I didn't want to come to this country knowing that I was going to have to do what? Call back home and ask people at home that I know don't have any money to send me money? No, that wasn't going to happen. That wasn't an option. So luckily I did get paid that month that I got here. I also had the settling allowance, but I definitely wanted to have that cushion. I think I could have done well with 3,000, but I came with 5.
Okay. I would say maybe because of how and when I got the job, like I had applied over the summer, and so I didn't hear anything back until school had already started. So I was 2 weeks into teaching because I hadn't heard anything. So like I was paying my regular bills, still had rent, and when I got the job, it was just like, okay, we need you to come in 2 weeks. And I was like, 2 weeks? Like, you mean the week after next? Like, yes, like, this is the date that we need you here by. And it was like, I didn't come with any money saved. Like, I had a couple $100, but I had literally, and that was like a paycheck that all my bills came out of. So the last paycheck I got, my rent came out of that, my car note came out of that, like any other like last little bills. And I didn't want to leave anything lingering so that you had to go back and pay it. So it was just like, okay, get all this stuff paid. And like I said, I only had like a couple $100 left when I came. Like, and then I was expecting, you know, obviously like my final check, but I never knew like when that final check was gonna get here. So I would definitely suggest, you know, saving, but I did just fine. You know, you have to manage what you have. And when I got here, it was just like, okay, you got this to spend on this, you have this to spend on food. Housing was taken care of, so I didn't have to like fret or worry about that. We did end up, by the time we got here, it was maybe like, what was like a week or 2, and then we got like the housing allowance. But even when I got here, I spent money on my classroom before I got that. And then I find here school supplies are way more expensive here than they are back home. And granted, I bought some posters with me, but like I spent I know I spent 2,000 dirham just off rip decorating my classroom here. Just
I also
everybody's like, oh, I love your room. Oh, did they do this? No, I did this. Not them, me. So I would definitely say have some money kind of put away so you don't have to worry about it, because everybody's situation is different. Like Jackie said, you come into a school that does pay you, and then you come into other schools where you may not get paid. And if that was the case for me, you know, I would have been on a wing and a prayer.
I also came with like 3,000, and we like they gave us like housing money. Either that and like you go find your own place, or like they place us where we're at now. But I think if you go your own route, you definitely need to save up like $5,000 to come here, because there's so many deposits, like the realtor one, right? The for your electricity, there's a deposit for your there's all these deposits that you end up like with maybe $2,000 in deposits. But luckily for me, it worked out. I didn't have to do deposits, but I think that's something we should keep in mind, that if you do go your route and try finding your own apartment, all that stuff, it's very costly with all those deposits.
Sorry. No, I was gonna say people need to know the conversion rate. So from the US dollar to the dirham is like 3.5 to 4. So you can come here with a couple of $100 and make it stretch. Mm-hmm. If you have a couple of $1,000, you're gonna make that stretch too. So it stretches. You just gotta know how to stretch it in an expensive country. And there's always a way. You gotta be a good hustler, know how to negotiate. Because everybody trying to make a deal. I still calculate stuff in US money. It's bad.
Yeah, I still do.
Yeah. I was going to say for me, the one big thing was credit card. If you have a credit card, get one. I opened a new credit card to make sure I had one that did not have overseas fees. And I used that bad boy the first time, or when I first got here, I didn't have a whole lot of cash. So most places take cards. So my thing to say would be, if you have the credit to get a credit card, get one, but only make sure you get it if it has no foreign exchange fees. So that was one of the things that helped me. And then I got bonus points because I spent all of this and was able to pay it back. So that also gives you that window. If you're waiting for 30 days for your check, well, your credit card doesn't come in until the end of the month, and it's on a new statement, and then you have more time to pay. So that would be my suggestion.
Just thumbs up, thumbs down. Is living in Dubai expensive? Okay. Have you experienced racism?
I am not the nanny.
I would feel like that's inside in the middle, because on my channel before, I've experienced racism, but it was because they thought that I was African. And when I started speaking, that's when they realized that I was American, and it kind of shifted their view, which is wrong. It's nasty out here for Africans. And, you know, you just have to acknowledge that and try to rectify their thoughts of Africans. But yeah, that's the only way that I've experienced racism. You know, there are Black Arabs out here, and some of my students will be like, why is your skin so dark, to an Emirati child that is Black? And I've had to have a lesson about that.
So I haven't experienced racism, but I've definitely heard about it, and I know that it exists, definitely that. But what's interesting about living here is that the African descendants, you know, nomads, whatever, traveling here or who are already here, they don't know, like, the things that we know in the States, they don't know. Like, they're like, because they don't really deal with, they know about skin color, but not really, because it's like when they're with each other, they're kind of one, because they identify as either Muslim or Emirati. But at the same time, they seem to not know the difference or the similarities between you not being from here and them. And I'm like, you don't see that we look similar, or they don't see, you know, or our skin tones are similar. Like, they don't see any of that. And I'm just like, interesting. We had one of the students in grade 6 in my all-girls school, and my friend had natural hair, and she had like whatever the more coarse texture is, whatever the numbers are. And the one girl, she was like one of the main ones saying like, Miss, not nice, because they'll tell you, they'll say some crazy sideways stuff to you. They'll say any comment to you, you just can't say back to them, or their feelings get hurt. It was like, Miss, your hair, not nice, not nice. I guess she had it too natural, and it was just pinned all up or whatever. But it was like the black child, or the darkest one, the Emirati. I saw her in the Ethiopian salon getting her hair done. I'm like, she literally has weave all in her head. We know that. I don't think the other girls that are all different skin tones, skin color, different textures, didn't know that. But it was like, for her to be the main one telling the teacher that her hair is not nice. It's like, lady, you have a little girl, you have the same hair, but it was quite interesting to witness that. But the same things go on with the racism and how they see each other. It's certain things they know and certain things they don't know. I just don't understand how they know this and they don't know that.
What I find is that, although I haven't experienced racism here, Evan, when you said basically that when they hear you speak, then it's just like, oh, now there's a different form of respect. I've experienced that when traveling to other countries. And in line with speaking about other countries, I find that some people here, it's not necessarily about skin tone for them. It's more about nationality for them. So regardless of whether it's a Black Emirati or fair-skinned Emirati, it doesn't matter. They are Emirati. Now, as I said, I'm coming from a secondary background. And once you're Emirati, okay, then you're up here. And so be it. Be prideful about where you come from. But that is number one more for them. It's nation over everything else.
I love it. Yeah. America is the only place that does, besides like India, that does like caste systems, but outright America is like the main place. And because we're from there and that's what we mainly know, that's everything that's skin related.
Right.
Down to whether you want to say white American or European or African or Asian or whatever, we come down to skin tones basically. But everyone else is just like, I'm Emirati, I'm Indian, or I'm Chinese, I'm Singaporean, whatever. That's all we have. We're the only ones that have like another set of credentials that we identify as.
How long do you plan on living in the UAE?
Till they kick me out.
According to my mama and my sister, you got 2 years. That's all you can do.
Well, I'm kicking on a decade, so I really don't know. I'm planning on leaving this year, but who knows? But literally, my answer was always Kat's answer. They got to drag me out. They literally got to put me on a plane for me to go home.
And remember, I left, and then I came back.
I went home for 3 months, taught for 1 month, resigned, did nothing for 2 months. So I found a job and came back. I just couldn't take it. I was going through withdrawals. I just couldn't take it.
For me, I would say that I am here until
they kick you out.
I don't have a set date. I don't have a set year to say, okay, it's 2020. I'm gonna be here till 2022. I have no end in mind as to when I'm going to leave, because I've traveled to other places. I was home in the US for a number of years, the majority of my life basically, and I can say to myself that I don't know where I might end up next, but I know where I'm not going.
Where's that?
Back to the United States of America.
Missing home, or like the sense of like your family and stuff like that, it does weigh on you that you're out here and you're not with your family, or like, especially when like special events come around, like my niece's birthday, like you get sad that you don't get to experience that with them. But I'm also glad that I'm still living out, my own dreams. So I feel like, for me, it's more of a financial benefit, and that's the mindset that I try to keep. So I feel like, once I hit that financial goal, then I would be more willing, to go back, unless I get out here and find me a Emirati husband, and that's another country that I may be here for a while. But if not, then, the financial part for me is like, okay, if you want to set this goal of making this amount of money before you go back, because the thing is, when I come back, I want to buy a house cash. I already got a car, so it's just like I don't want to have those things that weighed on me beforehand. I want to say, okay, you want this house, this where you want to live, this side of town. Okay, here, take care of it. You got that money for that. I want enough money that, you know, I'm not working to pay bills. I'm working to enjoy life. Like, I'm working because I want to work, but I also want to enjoy life. So if I want to take a month off and, you know, travel around the world, I want the finances to be able to do that. So I think, you know, it's not necessarily a time limit on it. But I mean, I don't feel like I would reside here forever. Now, do I feel like I would buy some property out here? Yes. Do I feel like, you know, I would, you know, come back and forth? Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for me, I'm in my mind, I'm doing 2 more and then I'm done. But inshallah, we gonna see.
For those of the viewers or whatever who have kids, so to add on what Brittany said, I have a son, and I came out here with my son. He was 8 when we first got here, and he's 15 now. But like, he enjoys his lifestyle here better and friends because it's safer, and the kids are not as grown. They act their age, and they deal with things that's their age. So it really, as a parent, really makes me feel really, really, really good, because his head is not where it would be if he were in the States, because we have forced the kids to grow up like adults. Everything is sex. Everything is just very, very fast. But he does misses his family at home because he's the one that's always away. And so am I. And he doesn't get the full American experiences. Like, he's played basketball, he can play baseball, but he doesn't get like American football, like not in school. He's played it here, but like a recreation. He doesn't get those same level of scholarships for college that he would in the States, which is why he chose to go back for high school. So if you have a high school student, that's where a problem is going to come in. Because I say, okay, I'll go back home while he's in high school so I don't miss proms and driving and all these things. But you want to be here because that's where you're going to get the money to stack up. So when they do go to college, so it's like a pool when you get to the high school level for people. But if you're 8th grade and down, they can be okay. But high school is where the tug of war is going to come in.
I'm going to ask you some questions that I get all the time because I cannot answer them. When you have a child, do you feel like you should initially bring them over?
Yeah. It's different, but for me, I would say yes, because it was just less stress with having to wait for whoever you're working with or working for to give you the flight to get them over here, especially if like my son was traveling by himself. So if you have a young child, you're either gonna have to pay separately for them to fly over with someone else, which if the money is coming from the other company, you don't know how that works with them buying the flights or blah, 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 or they're gonna have to fly unaccompanied minor if you're okay with that. So bringing them over initially, I think is good. They kind of get able to adapt with you. Especially if you came over like me, like as a single mom, there was someone that I knew that I could talk to, you know, to kind of go through everything with. So I would just say to not have to deal with any crap later with getting visa process. If you're going to go back and forth, because you're going to run around, like it's going to be a rat race. So it's better just do that rat race one time with that person rather than you do the rat race and then you got to come back and do the rat race again for whoever else. And I say rat race, I'm meaning you'll go to one place and they'll say do this and you go there and they'll say do this. So private schools sometimes are a little bit more organized because they may have a PRO that can go do that for you. But if you're in a public schools, it's a different process and you're pretty much doing that yourself. So I would say initially, I think it'd be better to just bring your kids over with you.
Okay. And your son was over here from 8 until high school?
Yeah, from third grade to 9th grade. So what he did was he transitioned. He came here 3rd grade. He went home to live with his dad in the States for 4th grade. He came back 5th and 6th grade, left and went home 7th grade, came back mid-year 7th grade and 8th grade, and went back home 9th grade. So one thing I could say, if you're at the right American private school, we were at an international school with American curriculum, he was able to slide in and out of curriculum and go right back because he was learning the same thing. So that's one thing that I would say if you're at the right, now the school that we were at was truly international. It was more Americans, Canadians, and other international nationalities versus just Emirati. So he got a American curriculum where he was able to go back and forth and not lose anything. But if you're in a school that may not be full of American students or predominantly American students or Western expats, it's going to be a little slower because we're going to have to adapt the curriculum for the Emirati student. So they would probably need to think about they need to research schools before they come out.
We all dealt with the culture shock, but Jackie, how did you handle the culture shock for your son? And then how did you handle it as an adult?
For him, he's pretty easygoing. So he was like a G, like he adapted. Like I was shocked how well he was able to adapt, being so young coming out, but he did have other kids that came over with him. So he actually had other kids in the same, like when I worked for Addict Public Schools, you come in groups. So in the group that we came in, which are normally the people that you pretty much get off the plane with or arrive at the airport with and go to the hotel with, you're with them for like 2 and 3 weeks. So we were with these same group people for like 6 weeks. So he was able to adapt that way. But I really can't say because he's never mentioned that he had any issues. The only issue I would say that he had with me being difficult with him was school. The first school I put him in LA was a private school. I call it Ghetto International because literally, like, the kids, you come here and you think, oh, it's going to be international kids, it's going to be great. But literally, they were fighting and jumping on tables and running around, all types of stuff. And he's a chill kid. So to tell my son, literally, you're going to go to school and you're going to fight or beat their ass every day. I am okay with that. I will deal with the teachers. You just make sure that was difficult for me because we don't get down like that. You know what I'm saying? So literally, someone hit him in his head with like a chair or something. He came home. I was like, what? Literally, I thought I was gonna get put out of the country. Literally up at the school, emailing like in this lady's face, like, I'm telling you something. You playing around, but you're gonna make me switch to where I don't want to switch to. So I got this education for a reason, but if I need to switch, I will switch. But, you know, so it was just, that was a really difficult thing to watch him not want to go to school and be miserable every day. Like I didn't realize what that was because I worked with girls. Didn't realize what the boys were like, even in an international school where they were separated. So boys' school are quite different than girls' school. And the boys' schools don't have good reputation. So I did not understand that yet. So watching him be miserable for that first year, and he's 3rd grade, he's over here away from his family, was very difficult. But I just made it where after I went up to the school and told old girl how it was going to be, he can go to school whenever he felt like it. So sometimes he didn't go, sometimes he did go, sometimes he didn't go. So that was the most difficult for him, for me to watch him go through. For me, just everything's like just running back and forth, like no one knowing their job or doing as little as possible in that inshallah culture where it's the inshallah where we perceive it as you just want to do it when you want to do it rather than you can do it. Because it was like, go to that window. Okay, we go to that window. Then it's like, no, go back to that window. I'm like, okay, go back to window 3. Yes. No, you have to go to window 8. Okay, so I go to window 8. No, he should have told you to go to window 0, but I went to window 0 like 2 windows ago. It was a lot of that back and forth. I think the processes are a little smoother now, but believe me, anybody that came in before 2013 or not, it was chaotic. So going from the interior, just a lot of like coming here, we didn't get like private schools pick you up from the airport and they're nurturing to you. But for Addict, we got off the plane, we went to our hotel. That's it. You get a letter under your door saying, all right, you're going to work tomorrow, or you're going to Alain. We go to Alain. Okay, they give you your job assignment and you go find it. So I had to find a taxi and figure out where I'm going. So I had no choice but to be very, very independent, which I like. But so all of the running around. So depending on where you're coming, to where you're coming into, whether it's private or public, will depend on the things that you have to adapt to. I mean, I wouldn't even say the heat. I don't care about the currency changing. I don't care about just attitudes and the running around. The unnecessary back and forth is going to be the issue.
My My culture shock came when I went back to the States, which sounds really weird. I'm in a lot of travel blogs and people say reverse culture shock is a thing. And I didn't believe it until when I went home, and I was just like, why are people so scantily clad? As soon as I touched down in the airport, I'm not even in my home airport. I'm not even in New York City yet. I'm in Chicago waiting on my connecting flight to get to New York. And I'm just like, where are these people's clothes? And then everywhere you look on every TV, there's the news. And I got so accustomed to not having the news always be in my face, to the point where I saw breaking news and I'm like, oh my gosh, the day I land in the airport, we're at war. Must be war, right? Because why else would there be breaking news? And they're like, oh, that's nothing. There's breaking news every day. That to me is not normal, that there's breaking news every day. So I think I did a lot of research before I came out here. So I kind of, you know, got it into my head like, all right, this is going to be different and you're just going to have to deal with it. And I feel like if I have enough time to talk to myself and talk myself into something, then I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be able to handle it. It was going back home because I hadn't been home. The first time I hadn't been home in a year. The second time I hadn't been home in almost 2 years. So that was even more of a culture shock for me going back to the States. There is a readjustment period that I have to get back into. So I would
add that because I came into LA, it's very different than me living here in Dubai, because this is my first year in Dubai, and Dubai is way more international. But in LA, the space, like, can you back up off of me, is really an issue. They're like, if you're in line, they're breathing on your neck, they're breathing on your ear. Like, can you back up? Like, please back up. It's something like walking. It's this big path, but they find a way to come right over to you. I'm like, but you had all that space and you decided to turn your stroller right here by my leg. Like, that hurts my nerve. Yeah. So this space, don't
right? Like, you got all these stalls. Why you want to use the stall right next to me?
Like, right. So get used to people in your space. They seem to be very, I don't know, there's not an issue with space. And the space.
And to them, they're not rude. They don't think it's rude. They will put you and won't say, I'm sorry, or my apologies, or they don't say that. They don't say that at all. They'll bump into you and look at you as if you were in their way. And you'll be like, well, damn, excuse me, like, did I do it?
I was gonna say, I think my culture is shock. I mean, I work with kids, but seeing their kids in public, and I had worked with their children back home, and I understood the miss and that's what I was going to be called, and it wasn't disrespectful. But when I got to malls, or when I was restaurants, and I would look around and there's a child playing, doing something, climbing on something, and I'm looking around waiting for the mom, the dad, somebody to say something to this child, and there's nobody around. And then I'm starting to get scared. Is this child lost? And then their parents come from 10 miles down and they come to reclaim their child. So that was my culture shock, and realizing, I mean, they kids is doing, I done heard so much stuff breaking stores. I'm like, is that why I'm paying so much for this? Because they got to pay for the two that's going to get broke before I pick up this one. So I think for me, children was my culture shock in public. And I told my sisters and mom, if y'all come here, you're just gonna have to bite your lip. And of course, I ain't gonna be biting my lip. You bump into me, I'm a duh. So that is definitely something you have to be ready for.
I think I kind of had my mind prepared for some of it, but not all of it. I think I enjoy the fact of the convenience here. Like, everything is so convenient. Everything is at a touch of a phone. You want groceries, it's at a touch of a phone. I mean, you want your nails done, touch of a phone. Like, everything is like, oh, we can come to you, we can do this. This country really is like service oriented. And I think I like that versus, like, you know, what we get in the States, like how we're treated here, the service here, the pampering here. I really enjoy that. I feel like that's like gonna be the hardest thing for me to, want to give up when I do go back to the States, because it's like you out here living, like living. Like Chick-fil-A customer service living.
Yeah.
And
like, living life Chick-fil-A style. Like,
right. And
Go ahead.
Your full
Go
day.
ahead.
You get your full day here. Like
yes.
I could go to work, go home, take a nap, wake up, still go shop, go to the movies, go to the dentist, go to the doctor's appointment, go to the bank.
Open late.
Open late. So I get my full day. Everything doesn't stop at 5, and I have to take off work just to go to the bank, or almost about to die trying to crash, trying to drive fast to get to the bank by the time it closed after school is out. So I get a full day living here.
Like, I was shocked the malls are open so late. Like,
Right.
I was like, I remember when I first got here, I was like, oh, I need to go to the store, but let me check the hours to make sure it ain't closed. The store was open till 11 o'clock.
And they be in that thick at 11 o'clock.
At 11 o'clock.
What do you do with your hair?
Braids.
Look at Brittany.
As you can see.
So for me, for my hair, back home I was wash my hair every day. Since I moved here, I was told not to, and my hair. So I don't shower my hair every day now. So I do like every other day, but my hair falls off like crazy. When I first moved here, I would my scalp was so dry it was bleeding because of the water. So that was a huge adjustment. Till this day, my hair still falls, so I try stretching it like every 2 days. It's like the third day. But still, I'm just like, I feel disgusted. But I was told to be careful not to wash your hair every day because it will fall. And then people, my friend's girlfriend, she showed me back here, she's going bald. She's been here because her hair is falling out. So just an FYI, be conscious of your hair. Put product in your hair. I don't know. I bought a bunch of stuff from home.
You have a filter?
Yes.
And it's still like that?
Yeah, even my cleaner's your hair's all over the floor. I was like, I know. Yeah, it's falling. And I have thick hair. So hopefully I don't go bald by the time I go back home. So yeah, that's what I do.
I think for me, it's just, granted, everywhere you go, your hair has to adjust to where you are. And I think the biggest thing for me is okay, when I first got here, I came with braids. And, after I took those braids out, I got some more braids. But then it's okay, the wear and tear of that as well. So you can get braids, but you're going to have thinning. You're going to have tension. Your hair is going to fall out because of that as well. So knowing how to, rotate those styles in and out. So, okay, you can have braids, but then, okay, you need to go into a protective style that doesn't have a lot of tension after that. Then, and you need to give your hair, have a couple weeks where you give your hair a break. So I know my kids always Miss, you change your hair. And I do, because it's I know what my hair needs. Granted, it is a lot drier. My body is drier out here. So, combating that with some natural or essential oil. So using jojoba oil, using coconut oil, argan oil on it during those protective styles. So then when I do want to wear it out, it's not damaged. So I feel like there are options there. You have plenty of options of what you can and can't do here. Yes, you're going to need to bring some back home products, because when I first came, I just had them braids and I was like, oh, Jesus, take the wheel. I need some Nairobi foam. I need some edge control. And you can't find everything here. They have certain products, but all products are not good products. So then you have to think about that too. What are you putting on your hair? How much are you putting on your hair? So I just think you have to find a good balance.
And then if you do find your hair products that you usually get at home, it's going to be more expensive here.
Oh, gosh,
so
yeah.
Definitely stock up on what products work for your hair back home, but also don't be surprised that you might have to switch it up due to the humidity, due to the climate, due to how dry it is here. For me, in terms of my hair, like I have locks, I have dreadlocks, and I definitely listen to what people suggest on social media. So I find that whereas word of mouth definitely goes a long way, but it also doesn't hurt to check in on Facebook and to also check in on Instagram and see what people are recommended and where. And I mean, for me, even though I live here in Dubai now, I was in Abu Dhabi for the first 3 years. So, I mean, if you have to travel because you know someone is good, just like how guys are about their barbers, they don't want to cheat on their barbers. If you find somebody that's real good, you're not going to want to let them go. So I would say at least find 2 good people, maybe one that's not so far or maybe one that's close or whatever, and see what basically works for you. So word of mouth and also social media groups definitely doesn't hurt. So
yeah, and I would add that they do have souks out here where you can get any types of products if they are available. So if you're into extensions or anything like that, they do have places. It's just about having to go to that place and literally walk in each individual shop to see what they have and then bargain. It's very, very difficult, but there are lots of braiding shops, lots of shops that do blowouts, lots of shops that do natural hair for all different hairstyles. You just choose the one that you like, and all the hair shops are either separate braiding shops or they're in like spas. So there's for all different hair textures, you can find the shop that you want.
Think of your favorite pastime in Dubai. Give the people a good spot that they should hit up. What do you recommend doing in Dubai?
Get massages. Get massages.
For me, I love Miss Lily's. There is a ladies' night in Dubai every night. But for me, I like Miss Lily's. It's a Jamaican spot. I'm not even into Jamaican culture. Sorry, but like.
All right, I'm signing off. It was nice talking to y'all. Have a good night. I'm leaving the meeting.
I would say Saffron Atlantis, the brunch. I'm not a drinker, but just to see how everybody comes and can just blow this money. Everybody's making pretty good salaries, but they can just blow this money on a brunch, and you see people from everywhere, different colors, heights, sizes, weight, whatever. Everybody is just partying to all different types of music, eating, and just having a great time. There's no issues, and it's just like fun. Like it's the place, it's what you would want when you go out anywhere.
But tell them the price of the brunches. See,
yeah, the brunch is like 500 dirhams, so it's like $130 or whatever. Yeah. But I'm saying everybody's making money, so it's like you blow that on a normal day. So that's a good place for you to go. Yeah,
I would definitely say like brunches, yacht parties. Yacht parties are always lit. Brunches, yacht parties, and yes, enjoying like the spa. I got my first Moroccan bath here.
Me too. Yeah.
Just being able to experience that bit of relaxation is good.
I want to jump on that. I want to jump on that, Brittany, because that's what I was ready to say. Like, I love being able to party when I feel like it. I'm not one that, parties every weekend or even parties every month. But I'm definitely one to want to pamper myself. Jump on Groupon. Groupon works everywhere, including here. So especially when you know that there's a holiday or something coming up, you make sure that you have your Groupons laid out, ready to go. So for example, like I will do that Moroccan bath coupled with a 30-minute massage after that, coupled with a mani and a pedi after that. And that's just something to also even to look forward to at the end of a really challenging week. You know that you got to grind from Sunday to Thursday, but you know that by the end of the week, you're like, oh man, I'm really going to be pampered. If you're okay with people touching on your body, then you will love having that Moroccan bath. You will also love having your services done quickly too. I know back in the States, the same person that does my eyebrow has to do my pedicure, has to do my manicure, has to do my threading for my upper lip. But it's just like, that is taking hours versus if I go someplace else, I have one on my toes, one on my hands, one on my eyebrows. Like I have 6 hands on me at once.
Or getting waxed with 2 people.
Yes.
2 people waxing.
Guys, but this is the only place though, so you got to be careful with that too, because if you say you're gonna go get a mani and pedi, it's an all-day experience. Like it's a day, because this is the only place I know I can get a mani pedi and I'm still in the seat for 2 hours. I doze off, wake back up, she's still working. I'm like, because they're very detailed and careful with what they're doing. I'm like,
they're gonna rub you down too,
they're
right?
gonna rub you down. Like I'm still in this chair. It's 2 hours, and you're still scrubbing. So it's like the detail is really good. So if you go for a pampering, just make it a day, because it's gonna be a day. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially that massage we got for a short paper.
Oh yeah.
No, in the States they just rub your back. When I say these people hopped up on me
On your back like a jockey.
Yes.
I was like, wait a minute, sis.
Spread the cheek was in there, like
all that.
it was crazy.
They have no
Okay.
sense of personal space.
Oh, and don't forget, add in any sky lounges, like the rooftop lounges, because every view is a great view. Dubai is a gorgeous city. You get somewhere high on any building.
Oh my God, that view at the
good
fire.
music, and yes. And I mean, you have to experience that at a time or two.
Seeing
I
the
think it was-
birds.
Yeah, the Burj, the 5, is it called?
Fountain.
And I think I went to one Sky Lounge. So yeah, listening parties on the rooftop.
Ladies' nights.
Listening
Enjoy
to-
it.
ladies.
Oh yes.
Poom poom party.
Okay. That's Miss Lily's right there.
Wow. Okay. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me in my virtual party. You know, we've had a virtual party because of what's going on right now with the virus and the quarantine. So we get on Zoom to just see each other's faces, talk to each other, let each other know that, you know, we're here. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Make sure that you like it, share with all of your friends, and subscribe to my channel.
Assalamu.
Give me that, this girl.
Fix this bang though.
Oh,
Give
wait,
me
this is boomerang.
Send it to us. Push on the that's cute.
I'm trying to look out sexy.
Look, Brittany. That look like
Right, I said you don't see this bang though. Fix the bang.
Girl,
Right.
Come on,
Look,
Brittany,
this
you
is my
think
new Tinder profile.
Oh,
All right, here we go. One,
should have talked about.
2. Hey, don't put that out there. Don't.
Edit, do it. Do
Gotta edit.
it. Peggy.
Oh, man.